really psyched about a lot of the stuff that I saw in there. The SAP BTP empowers the ecosystem. At first I thought, huh? But now I'm getting it. Seeing the things, simple things like the calculation view editor being added into the Business Application Studio, seeing how Industry Cloud built on top of the BTP can help all of our customers out there in whether it's a crazy time like 2020 or in the future. But personally, two things that really stood out to me were how SAP is embedding the AI into the business processes to create truly intelligent end-to-end business processes. I think is a really exciting aspect of this, and I think that's going to really be something to pay attention to and look really close at as we go forward. And then, of course, the last one was a surprise for me. I am a fan of SAP Room. We have been using it internally from my own team's perspective. I actually think that SAP Room is just a really phenomenally flexible tool. So seeing that I might be able to actually add in my own integration and automation into this, I think is going to be really, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited. I am really excited about this keynote. Yeah, Beth, anything that stood out for you?
Well, as a non-developer, I'm always interested in low code and even better no code. Don't spit your water out. So yeah, the last bit I was particularly interested, and I just thought it was just a good. We talked yesterday about ecosystem with the two board members, with Jürgen and with Thomas Sauer-Essig, the board member of product engineering as well, about the topic of ecosystem, and it was just a really nice way to see, as you said, I mean, just the different ways we're helping the different on the industry cloud perspective, and then just across the entire perspective of, you know, the different people who we spoke to, the AI side of things. I just really enjoyed that for me it was important to understand how the BTP is kind of put into into practice, into seeing what it can enable.
Yeah,
and so
and yeah, I'm there with you. The low code part, believe it or not, a lot of us developers don't want to code either. You know, we're lazy. We like to use code that we've already done before. Open source is a wonderful thing for us. And actually, speaking of open source and the ecosystem, we also had, leading up to TechEd, we had a very cool thing happen called Devtoberfest. And you've probably seen on the walls over here in the developer lab, Devtoberfest. If you're not familiar with what Devtoberfest was, it was a 9-week online celebration by developers for developers to kick off SAP TechEd. It was an opportunity for learning, for building, and most importantly, it was an opportunity for developers to help build tools for their fellow developers. So it was all about building tools and helping each other. It was done completely online. It was all open source. And because it was all open source, it's all available right now to everybody. Absolutely amazing work. So many people in the community took part. We thought maybe 50 people would join or something like that. Hundreds joined. It was unbelievable. Great feedback. We saw Jodel in Jürgen's keynote. He was actually, we got to know him through the Devtoberfest. So really just amazing stuff. And honestly, because it's all open source, it is basically everybody's a winner, because everything's there and everything's able to be used by every developer out there. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely go on to GitHub and check out all of the repositories and all of the different things that happened. But for now, what I'd really like to do is see who participated. We after all the participation, we picked 5 finalists. Those 5 finalists were put into the community for voting. And tomorrow we'll have a chance to talk to the winners, right? The ones that the community voted on the most. But for now, I'd really love for us to see all of those 5 finalists if we can. Can we see them? All right, let's take a look.
Hello, I'm Gregor Wolf, and I'm an independent SAP solution architect, and I'm joined together with Mike.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Mike. I'm a cloud consultant and software architect for a small but awesome company right in the middle of Germany called P36. And we're also joined by the famous Volker.
That's me. I'm a development architect at JNS Soft, a specialized SAP consultancy from Heidelberg. And today we are presenting you CDS PG and CDS DBM. Even though there were separate entries into the Devtoberfest, they're so closely related that it only makes sense to show them together so you get the full scope.
And what they actually do, CDS PG and CDS DBM bring Postgres support for the cloud application programming model, our beloved CAP in short. And yeah, why did we start that? I already tried around last year with it, but with CAP Release 4, SAP has now an official database API where we could hook in. And Sebastian von Sickel showed us the way how to create the Postgres adapter. And as SAP Cloud Platform offer now also hyperscaler solutions for Postgres SQL. That's really now a good opportunity to create also the casual apps on Cloud Platform. And yeah, what's about CDS DBM? What does it solve, Mike?
Okay, so basically with CDS PG, to have the translation from the cloud application programming model to Postgres, and CDS DBM is basically used to deploy those tables and views and the whole data model to the database itself. So it's basically the deployment unit. And it's extracted in an extra NPM module because it may be used with other databases in the future.
Cool. And how production ready are we with two projects?
So yeah, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to the community, especially to David Suder, who contributed a lot, and those guys, and brought us really forward. And I think right now we are, I would call it kind of production ready. Because we have basic support for the CRUD. So you can read, create, update, and delete stuff through the service layer in the database and from the database. So this is pretty important, and it's working. We also have OData support for stuff like filtering, selects, expands, etc. I mentioned this. We have also deployment through the CDS DBM, which is which is capable of doing Delta deployments. So we don't erase the database on every deployment, but you just identify the delta between the model and the database itself and can deploy this part. And since yesterday, actually, thanks again, David, we have schema support, which is a solid foundation to add stuff like multi-tenancy, which is sadly not yet available, but is a really complex feature, as is draft mode and as are the analytical calculations. And those stuff is not yet baked in, but we're on it. But I would say that, with this basic feature set available, it's ready to be tried out. So just go ahead and use it. Yeah. And to actually show this to you, I'm just going to do a really quick demo showing you how things look and how things work. So what we do have is we have a basic application running locally, which is the beer shop created by Gregor. And it's basically exposing an entity called brewery. And you can see those breweries, which are already available in the Postgres database. And I want to just do two things. First thing is I want to create a new one. So I created a HTTP client test script. And if I just hit the send request button, you will actually see that the service has been called and the entity has been created. So when I refresh this, you should see that the SAP TechEd brewery is already available. So you see that we support the basic CRUD stuff. And one other thing I want to do is when we look at the schema itself, I just want to add another property to the brewery. So maybe we are also interested in where those breweries are. So I'm just gonna add the location, make it a string, the save button, and now I want to deploy this to my local database. So I just need to stop the server right now, since sadly we currently do not have auto reload or hot reload, but we may introduce this in the future as well. So I just type in npx cds dbm deploy, and what this does, it basically starts to analyzing the delta between the current CDS model and the database. This takes just a couple of seconds, and then it's going to deploy things to the database. And if I now restart the server, and we refresh the service, you should actually see that the location property is now available in the breweries. It's not yet filled because we don't have any data, but it's there. Okay, so that's it for the quick demo. And yeah, I hand over back to you, Gregor.
Thank you. And I will continue then with my demo, because I want to show you where does it run. When you look at the beer shop demos that we've just seen, that is also a GitHub repo, and it gives you instructions how to run it on, for example, the Kima environment, which is available on SAP Cloud Platform, even trial. And then I tried it with SAP Cloud Platform, of course, with service brokers, with a user-provided service, and we are still working on the hyperscaler support. There is, as we use Liquibase for this Delta deployment, there are a little bit challenges. But let's switch over to my screen now and have a look on the demo case with Kima. Yeah, let us show you the beer shop running on Kima. So I'm here on the Kima console, and in the Kima console, we see 2 pods running, and that is actually the beer shop frontend and the Postgres database. And when I go to the API rules, I can open a URL, which brings me directly to the beer shop you just seen with Mike. And I will show you the Fiori UI you can put on top of that. So let's have a look into the beers that are available there. And when we run it, you see, yeah, it works. But what I also want to show you, it works even with filtering. So we can go for the beer with this IBU, and let's show the details. Yeah, that's beer shop running on Kima.
So now that you've seen what CDS PG looks like, including an UI, and what CDS DBM can do in terms of Delta deployment, now it's time to look at you and see what you can do, meaning contributing to the development of CDS PG. We have a document contributing in Markdown online in the repository and the to-do list. Both are linked in the presentation here. And our main intent when we set up the project was to get the whole environment setup process out of the way for you. So actually developing features takes less of an effort because you already have everything in place. For that, we have a Docker setup with PostgreSQL and Adminer, as you've already seen here, but also available locally. So if you look at the command that's posted on the slide here, and if you issue this command, then in the background, the whole Docker stack will boot up, and you have the database, including Adminer, available locally in order to test out whatever features you have. So Adminer looks like this, and you can log in with your default credentials, Postgres, and then you see the beer shop here. So that's in place. The second command that we have for setting up the environment is how to use a comparison service for developing features. So we bolted in a basic version of the beer shop for the test scope as well. And this is available locally under the standard URL 4004 on localhost. So whatever feature you're developing, you can actually compare with the implementation on SQLite. So for example, the data set here. Now, the third feature that enables you to get going quickly here is that we use Jest as the test runner, and Jest has a watch mode. So once you shoot that one off, it's going to run whatever tests you're currently developing, and it watches for changes in the background. So once I actually make changes on a test, because currently it's going red in quotes, so it's not working yet. And if I save this, just runs the test again in the background, and I can say that I can see the result immediately. So meaning you have a very quick turnaround cycle in developing your features, and the infrastructure is out of the way because we prepared it for you. So there's nothing that keeps you from actually contributing quickly. Having said that, both Gregor and Mike and also me, we have one wish left at the end of this little intro to CDS PG and CDS DBM for you. And I'm going to say it first, and the other two are simply going to restate it. I think we want to make CAP or we want to see kept being open source. Why?
Yeah.
Because it'll make it even more easy for us to bolt in stuff additionally. It will enable SAP to contribute or to benefit from contributions from the community to get the whole CAP project forward. With that wish, I'll hand it over to Gregor.
Yeah, and I can also only chime in, make CAP open source and rule the world, and have more developers outside SAP use it.
Yeah, and I jump in and basically say the same. I think we all love CAP because it's really great, and it could be even greater if it would be open source and we can really move things forward with CAP.
Hi, my name is Jaime Rodriguez. I'm one of the finalists in the Devtoberfest contest with my project ABAP Development Utilities. I'm in the work of open source in ABAP for a short time ago, since I met ABAPGit in the last TechEd in Barcelona. Since then, I try to know all capabilities of ABAPGit and the community of ABAP around it, trying to contribute with something from my side, collaborating in projects like ABAPGit, ABAP OpenText, or Code for ABAP, and sharing some development like ABAP Development Utilities. About the project I'm here for, ABAP Development Utilities, I try to build a series of tools, like a toolbox, to help other developers with some simple, but in my experience, useful code that you can use like libraries or code snippets for your own development. The tools included in this project is a tool to read the fields from a structure, including the fields of included structures, to run ATC checks and get the results. There is a tool to run transport checks for a transport request, so you can get the results or save them to the database. The saved results, you can read them with the transport reader, and you can retrieve them or display all the results. The next utility is a message collector. This is a very useful utility to me. You can collect messages from a single message table, or from an exception. This allows you to retrieve all the collected messages, display them, or raise gateway exceptions, business or technical. Another utility is a framework to send emails. It's a very simple utility. The next one is a class serialization. So here you can serialize a class instance and save it into database. This is very useful to save logs and review them later. And the last one is a text process. This allows you to read standard text and transform text from different formats, ATF, strings, or you can read also from the text pools. Those are all the utilities included in my project. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, my name is Marcello Urbani. I'm an ABAP developer and architect in Basis Technologies in London, and I'm originally from Italy. I'm here to present my project, which is a Visual Studio Code extension to edit ABAP files directly from your server. This extension allows you to do all the basic functionality that you normally do with SC80 or Eclipse, like creating and editing ABAP code, programs, classes, and things like that. And has syntax highlighting, completion, quick fixes, and so on. It allows you to see the difference between different versions of your SAP objects, both using the SAP internal versioning system and ABAPGit, although ABAPGit currently is broken, and has some basic support for CDS, but is not nearly as good as the ABAP support. It allows you to do some basic transport management as well, like releasing your transport and checking which objects are inside and looking at transport from other users and so on. And it works more or less well depending on which version of backend you are using. It has some ABAPGit integration, which was broken after a recent update to the backend code for the ABAPGit support, which lives in a different project. It's shared with the Eclipse plugin. A nice feature that I use very often is this transport-based version control. So from this view here, I can basically say, add the contents to this transport to the revision control view of Visual Studio Code. And here I end up with a list of the objects inside the transport. And clicking on these objects, I can have a difference between the version of the object before the transport and after the transport on the right-hand side of the code. And it's much more convenient to use for this purpose than the regular Eclipse. It also has the ability of pre-printing the objects before comparing them, so it doesn't distract you with uppercase, lowercase difference or spacing and something like that. And the other advanced feature I have is this integration with the Test Explorer, which is a completely independent extension for Visual Studio Code and has a very nice interface for running ABAP unit. And has this feature of rerunning your tests on activation, which is really, really good if you're doing test-driven development.
Hello all and happy time zone. My name is Lars. We'll talk a bit about ABAPGit that was part of the Devtoberfest event. ABAPGit is a Git client for ABAP objects written in ABAP. It is open source under the MIT license and works with version 7.02 and up. It's been an open source project for around the last 5 years. And here today I also have Mark, which will show us a bit and talk a bit about ABAPGit. Over to you, Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Bernard. After 22 years with SAP, I decided to start my own company. Mark Bernard Tools is an open ecosystem SAP partner, developing essential tools for SAP customers and other partners. We are a 100% ABAP shop, and without ABAPGit, we couldn't do our job. One of our goals is to support as many SAP customers as we can. So our tools should run on SAP releases all the way back to 7.02. ABAPGit allows us to work on all these releases in parallel, develop in 7.50, pull into 7.30, and test there. Fix the bugs in 7.30 and commit it back to the repository on GitHub, distributing it to the rest of our landscape. And at the end, ABAPGit generates a zip file that our customers and partners can deploy easily. Mark Bernard Tools uses ABAPGit every day, and we can't recommend it enough. It's easy to install, keep up to date, and simply the best open source edition you can get for your ABAP system. Go to abapgit.org to get started with ABAPGit today. And best of all, it's free. And now a short demo.
This is ABAPGit in 60 seconds. I am Mark Bernard. Installing ABAPGit is super easy. Go to github.com/abapgit and download the latest version. Then go to your system, create a new program and upload the code. Activate the program and you're ready to run ABAPGit. On the first run, ABAPGit shows a tutorial page. Click New Online to create your first project. Let's have some fun with the ABAP Turtle project. Simply copy the URL into the ABAPGit form. Create a new $turtle package and select Clone Repository. ABAPGit shows a list of the repository objects. Click Pull to bring them all into your system. Confirm overwriting the package and wait for the pull request to complete. Now we can create a new program to see if our ABAP Turtle project works. It's really that simple. Back in ABAPGit, you can see your Turtle project in the repository list. Open your project again and select Advanced Uninstall. In no time, you're back to a clean system. Thanks for watching ABAPGit in 60 seconds. I am Mark Bernard.
And just like the Turtle project, there's a lot of other open source projects in the ABAP world. You can all go to .abap.org to find all of these amazing projects done by the community. And talking about community, for contributions to ABAPGit, there's been all of these contributions by all of these amazing people, and I would like to thank them for their contributions to the ABAPGit ecosystem. Thank you very much.
All right. Many congratulations to all our finalists there. That was super cool. And I also have to say that Craig said halfway through that video, I want to go home. And I looked at him and wondered what was going on. And then he said, I want to go home because I want to start coding. I thought he'd just given up.
No, I want to go code.
We'll be seeing Gregor, Mike and Volker again tomorrow in a Devtoberfest special, I suppose we can call it, here on Channel 1. So join us for that. But until then, let's turn our attention back to the content tracks and have a look at what's happening today when the magic witching hour comes and we all kick off the content track. So, as always, they'll be starting off with strategy talks. On the database and data management content track, we'll be hearing from the fantastic Matthew Zenas with the Strategy Talk 103. He's going to talk about how to activate your data superpower with SAP HANA Cloud. We talked a bit about the data superpower earlier on today with Irfan Khan. Then Integrated Intelligence Suite, that's ST110. Create a future-proof user experience for your intelligent enterprise. That's with Alexander Ling and Frederick Berg. On the analytics side, we've got ST113, Decisions Without Doubt. Create your own data warehousing journey with Torsten Ammon. Can definitely recommend that one. And then on the digital transformation with intelligent ERP, we have ST104, Future-Proof Your Extensibility Strategy across SAP solutions in 2021. And that's with Philip Herzig. We spoke to him earlier today as well. What's happening here on Channel 1?
And we have some great stuff coming up in Channel 1 as well. We have live interviews with members of the SAP community, like CM103 on running SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. That's with Tim, Javier, and Roland. And a personal highlight for me, CM108, Insights from Women in the Tech Sector. This is with Marina, Neil, Susan, and Michelle. And we also have an upcoming interview with Michael Ameling.
Super cool. And just to top all that off, as if you could even try to top it off, but we are going to, and we're going to succeed, because on stage right now, the icing on the, should I say birthday cake? We're joined by Lena for a social media check-in.
Exactly. Thanks, guys, for joining me with my next quick social media check. Since we started the pre-show yesterday, the social media activities just went through the roof. Thanks for tagging us with hashtag SAP TechEd and hashtag SAP Community. Thanks for sharing your screenshots of your favorite sessions, your favorite content, and your favorite moment from wherever in the world you're joining us. Look at that wall behind me. So much stuff happening on social media. And when you want to be displayed, so I was just scrolling through all the content where we were tagged on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Thanks for tagging us. And now let's get started. Let's have a look. Let's start with my first highlight. I'd like to mention SAP Labs India. They joined the session by Michael Ameling and Philip Herzig on taking integration to the next level, an update on SAP's integration strategy. While they were watching, they were drawing a mural. You can see it here, very small, there it is. A little background to that mural. So the previous SAP TechEds where we were on site, we had a professional mural artist capturing the impressions of all the sessions. He was drawing that physically on a wall, and all the participants then took selfies and were sharing that on social media as well. So I am actually thrilled that our SAP colleagues from India took that on and were drawing that virtually and also sharing that on Twitter and social media. For instance, Mohit Jain just tweeted a very cool mural, like a summary of the developer keynote. Go check that one out. Also, here in the developer lab, there is also parts of that like mural displayed here on the wall, if you haven't noticed. So my next highlight is Jakob Flammann. He tweeted, hashtag SAP TechEd and the usual desserts, including the sustainable SAP water bottle from last year. Not everything changed. See you after lunch at hashtag SAP TechEd, Coffee Corner, Bern. I'm actually super jealous of that sustainable water bottle from last year. Lovely that you kept your swag and your goodies. Yeah, and I might reach out to you of that usual desserts, what you had earlier, I mean, for lunch. Okay, that's not my favorite. You guys spotted our studio cat and you came up with the most hilarious hashtags for that. So my favorite hashtags are hashtag SAP TechCat, hashtag SAP TechPet, and hashtag Pets of SAP TechEd. There's so many pictures of you and your dogs or cats, or only your dogs and cats. It's hilarious. For instance, Ian and Damsel were shown on Twitter, and also Michael and Baloo. So many. I just love it. Yeah. Further on, we have Paul Offner. He tweeted, at least we can watch it individually together. And I really like that tweet because I think also we have a virtual experience, everyone is streaming in from their homes and home offices, but still we feel that community vibe and it feels like being together. It really does. Anjit Kar noticed that as well, and also one of the advantages that we have this year. We all had a front row seat this year. It truly is the case. And he also found it very inspiring to hear Jürgen Müller in the keynote. And it was a pleasure to see so many upcoming improvements to the SAP Cloud platform for him. Last but not least, we have Wim. He tweeted, this channel 1 at hashtag SAP TechEd is really awesome indeed. Lively living room with a crazy lot of SAP content. Really love this virtual setup, having 2 hosts guiding and interviewing and introducing the sessions. I'm keeping it up open all 3 days. We also do. We can sleep later, and I do have to agree with him. We have so many awesome host pairs. Kudos to Beth and Craig as well. One more thing. There is so many great content already out there on SAP community already. So SAP community members were sharing recaps of day 1 of SAP TechEd. Go check that out. Back to Beth and Craig.
Super. Thank you, Lena. I think there's something you wanted to say, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I expect to see this all over social media as well. Very special. Happy birthday, Lena.
Happy birthday, Lena.
Thanks a lot.
To celebrate your birthday with us is very cool. Thank you for being here on such a great day, but working still. So that's very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, most amazing birthday, actually. Super, super excited. I'm super happy to be here and have that, my birthday on the SAP TechEd in 2020 day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Lena. See you later. All right. So
more to come.
What have been your highlights so far as the most experienced tech eder in the room?
I don't have enough room to write them all down. I honestly don't. I am...
Yesterday I asked Jürgen to pick 3. It's only fair.
He cheated, can I?
No.
He crammed at least 12 into his second one. But honestly, highlights. There's so many. For me, this has been extraordinary, honestly. To be in a situation where we're able to still make adjustments and change on the fly because we're doing this live, and having the feedback coming directly from the audience straight to us, whether it's in the Discord, through social media, or somebody who happened to be on the one of the virtual Stammtisch viewing parties and calling out to us, to be able to make those adjustments live has been a really cool experience, because sometimes you're at a physical event and it's already set. You can't make an adjustment. And so that's been a really cool personal highlight for me, being able to kind of take that trip down memory lane with you and sharing some of those stories has been really cool as well. But more importantly for me, to see SAP emphasize and focus on the developer personas, the possibilities of embedding AI into the business processes, but also addressing all of the developer personas with a focus on integration. It's just, it couldn't be a better time to work in our space.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I would say, well, you know, I was a big fan of the Q&A yesterday. I really enjoyed that, the executive Q&A with the two board members, Jürgen Müller and Thomas Saueressig. So that was really good. But also, I have to say, I'm really, really quite pleased about all the dogs on on Twitter. And particularly, shout out to Ian Thane for Damsel there. If you haven't seen Damsel, to go and check her out. She's brilliant. But there's also another highlight for me, definitely. Also up there, I think, with the Q&A and with Damsel the dog, and that's Simone Geertz. Now, she has a super cool video coming up, and we have a little teaser just to give you an idea of what's coming.
Throughout the history, humans had an unquenchable thirst for exploring the unknown. We saw a society that invented the wheel to tread ground quickly, who mastered the skies and waves. Those numerous ideas and inventions have built the path to a technic-driven world. At the beginning of the digital age, all this was bundled in the groundbreaking developments and experiments of our queen. What the hell are you doing here? Mrs. Simone Geertz. This was the beginning of the artificial intelligence age. Today we look and behave exactly like humans. Thank you, Queen Simone Geertz, for building a better future.
Huh? We've already done the content, Derek.
All right, that's super cool.
I love that video. I absolutely love that video.
Actually, I have to admit, I didn't even know that this tweet was from Simone, but a couple of weeks ago, there was a tweet that was about an fully automated dog selfie booth. And I like that, obviously, because I'm me. And I had no idea that was Simone until I was looking back at some of her other videos and connected the dots. Absolutely brilliant.
I actually remember that video coming out because it's not been that long ago. And it was after an evening of long TechEd planning calls and lots of coffee, and I was wide awake. And that video actually launched, and I stayed up watching that video, and I just utterly thought that's the coolest thing. She has some amazing stuff out there.
Yeah,
I've been watching her for quite a long time, and if anybody's aware of her, they'll know, and if you haven't, honestly, check her out.
Definitely.
Very inspiring.
Definitely check her out. All right, so Jürgen said yesterday it's been a packed week. He laughed at me when I asked him to pick his top 3 things. It definitely packed. Over 500 sessions, 370 hours of content. Just the numbers go on, the stats go on. How many gallons of coffee was it?
It was over 10,000 gallons, according to the scene. I don't know how they measured that because I think I did that alone.
All right, basically there's a lot going on. So let's have another look at the platform to find out what's happening, when and where. And you're the man with the laptop, so...
Well, then I guess we should go take a look at my laptop.
I guess we should.
All right. So we have more stuff coming up. If you remember from previous demos or showing of the platform, once you log into sapteched.com, you are in your dashboard. And right there in your dashboard, it'll tell you welcome back, and it will show you upcoming in channel 1. You can also click to see it all. As you can see, I have something scheduled already. There's other things that are coming or are happening. There are featured sessions, and of course, we get down into the social media feed, and you can see right now they're actually showing tweets of what we were just showing. So, so they're quick. What I thought was really, remember I said we haven't seen any cats?
Oh, there you go. There's a cat.
So,
But what's happening on the content track side?
yes, absolutely. So like we said, upcoming in Channel 1, we have, of course, a couple of things coming up there, featured sessions, and we can click and go and look at all of our featured sessions and, of course, the overall content tracks in general. These are the featured ones right now. These are all coming up here relatively soon. Or we can go into just the tracks themselves, and here we can see all 8 tracks listed. Do you remember them?
No.
It's not what we rehearsed. No, I'm just kidding. So, you know, we've heard, today we've heard a lot about the intelligent technologies.
Yes, we have.
So let's take a look into the intelligent technologies track. We see the intelligent technology track, we see what it focuses on, we see what the upcoming ideas are. We also can then look at the subtracks. Now, the other day I showed you customer experience and there was only a couple of subtracks. This one has a little bit more. So there's a lot of ways to granularly go in and choose the content that's right for you. As Jürgen has talked about multiple times, we heard it from our industry experts and industry leaders panel. They are also talking about the persona approach and that how content and everything needs to be available for all different types. So as you can see here, this gets into it, whether you are a full application developer or somebody focused on just maybe IoT or just the data part of that, or even establishing powerful conversational agents, right? All opportunities here inside the different content tracks for you to get what you need.
All right, so...
Are you interested in something in particular?
Yeah, show me, we just listed a bunch of sessions before. How would I find the one by Torsten Ammon?
By clicking on sessions, you'll go to the session catalog, and from here we can just start searching. So we can search by day, we can search by type, or we can just search by name. You said Torsten Ammon?
Ammon,
Yeah? So let me look just for...
Shout out to Torsten.
Ammon. And we're gonna search here, and we see that Torsten has, Torsten Ammon. Let's make sure this is the right one. Is this Torsten?
That is exactly the title I just read out. Decisions Without Doubt, Create Your Own Data Warehousing Journey. Yeah.
And that's the one?
That's the one I recognize.
That is the one. So that is Torsten. And this is the one that you read out. Decisions Without Doubt, Create Your Own Data Warehousing Journey, ST113. You have 2 opportunities for this one. You have today, December 9th, from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Central European Time. Or if you are maybe taking the dog for the walk, or you're spending time with family, you can also catch it again on Thursday, December 10th, from 6 a.m. to 6:30 in the morning Central European Time. And to catch it, all you have to do is add it to your schedule.
Super. I like the way you say schedule and I say schedule.
Well, you know, one of us
Tomato,
pronounces
tomato.
it properly and the other one doesn't. We'll let the audience decide which.
We'll argue about that one later. All right, so over on Channel 1, I know for sure, starting at 7 p.m, we've got the community talk on running Data Warehouse Cloud in a live event. And we've got, you mentioned it before, insights of women in the tech sector. So we've got those ones coming up as well.
Yes.
What about the format? So one thing that's confused me as somebody who's not been to TechEd that often, you talk about workshops and hands-on sessions and training sessions and a whole bunch of different formats. I get a little bit confused about the difference between all these because they all sound pretty hands-on. So how do I get a better idea of the formats?
Let's jump back over here to tracks. And that's where you can see the different types. So we have, from a time perspective, we have 15-minute, that's to check in and see what's happening on Channel 1. So as, you know, we check in different remote check-in areas, like we checked in Denmark on day 1 and things like that. Then we also have 20-minute. These are lecture-style breakout sections or sessions with expert Q&A.
Yeah.
So similar to us where we did the executive Q&A, these are also like that, but they're embedded into the individual tracks and they're with individual experts.
Okay.
All right, then you have 30-minute lecture styles, right? So similar to a strategy talk, but these are very much more a deeper dive than the strategy, which is covering the overall area, right? Then we have 40-minute deeper dive lecture style sessions. So these are even deeper, right? So these are even more granular. Then we have 60-minute usability one-on-one meetings with SAP development teams. So one thing that's been happening here at TechEd is we've actually still been doing usability testing. So these sessions have been happening as well, and people have been able to go and do one-on-one, helping SAP make better products. And then, of course, the 120-minute, these are actual hands-ons. Limited seating, we have experts there where you're able to say, oh, I have a problem. They take you off one-on-one, they work with you, and then you bring you back to the larger group. And all of this content is available online right now. You can get it on GitHub for the workshops. You can find it on the platform here and in GitHub for lectures and other sessions as well. So slides, everything's available.
Super cool. So I was looking around before and I saw, I was looking at the community talks, and I also found out that our co-host, Menina, she'd written a really cool blog on all of the community talks. I think there's 8 of them in total, and a kind of overview of all of those as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. When I was looking around, there was a lot of content on the community, isn't there?
Yes, there's absolutely a lot of content. There's over 100,000, I think 120,000 blog posts on the community. And if you want to find out more about those, you can head over to the community, check out the tag SAP TechEd inside the community, and it will show you everything from the questions that people have been asking to also blog post content and everything else. And if you follow it, you will get notified whenever a new piece of content is created.
Wow, magic. All right, well, I think it's time now, seeing as we sit here in front of this amazing, amazing technology, to take another look at what's going on behind the scenes. I think this is the 3rd, the 4th one, I can't remember, but the crew continue to follow us around.
I cannot get enough of these. These are so cool to see all of this and how they pulled it together.
All right, let's go into the next behind the scenes video. Super cool as always, and we actually see them also for the first time, so always good to see them. Let's go and have a look now what's happening in the making of SAP TechEd 2020.
Here I am, I'm standing on probably the most sophisticated and unbelievable stage I've ever stood on in my life.
The way this is done can be described as virtual production. That's kind of a newer term and a newer production technology that has become popular since The Mandalorian.
This is something that I've never experienced before, I've never really seen before. I've always worked with a green screen, and this LED technology that we're using for this year's TechEd is completely different.
The basic of this studio is not only the really big LED screen and the LED floor. The basic are the tracked cameras. We have 2 cameras on pedestals and we have a camera crane, and all these 3 cameras are tracked. That means the computer gets information where exactly the camera moves, and the computer tells the real-time 3D engine where it's placed in that moment. So that means the whole virtual set